Greetings LEGO fans and welcome to Retro LEGO, where we revisit and rank the sets in beloved LEGO themes from the past. Today we're swashbuckling our way right back into the adventurous world of LEGO Pirates. After their legendary debut in 1989, they took a much-deserved breather in 1990, but they couldn't be held back from the spotlight for long. 1991 brought us 5 more sets to expand the world without straying too far from what made their introduction so spectacular. Though one could argue that they should have strayed a tad more, as this year's entries do feel a bit more like supplements to what came before rather than a main event of their own. Still, this wave is a worthy follow-up in the heyday of this fantastic theme. So, ready your oars and let's jump right back into LEGO Pirates. Taking the bottom spot for 1991 is set number 6234, Renegades Raft, also known as Pirate Castaway. Hitting shelves at just $325, this set is basically a miniaturized version of the Castaway's raft from 2 years prior. Hopefully this Renegade doesn't need to be on this raft for long, as he's only got a 4x6 space to work with. Even with the space constraints, he manages to pack in the essentials, including a mounted oar for steering, an extra oar for speed, a cutlass for protection, and most importantly, a flag bearing the skull and crossbones, just in case anyone mistook him for an Imperial. Yuck! Rather than using barrels like its larger counterpart, the Renegade's raft uses what looks like bamboo shoots as its flotation method, suggesting that this thing was handcrafted on an island somewhere, further implying that the one included minifigure, presumably the titular Renegade, was marooned by his crew. We've actually met this guy before, but not in an actual set, as he was simply included as a bonus figure with the Pirate comic from 1989. It's nice to actually see him in action here, and he'd go on to have a pretty solid Buccaneer career after this. The Renegade's Raft is nothing fancy, but that's kinda the point, as it provides a healthy dose of storytelling in a very accessible package. Jumping into the number 4 spot is set number 1482, Pirates Desert Island. I hate to keep making comparisons to the introductory wave, but it's pretty hard to talk about this set without acknowledging just how similar it is to set number 6235, Buried Treasure from 1989, at least on the surface. Look a bit deeper, however, and you'll find that the story premise of this set is actually very different. Rather than joyously discovering a chest full of gold, it looks like this guy is desperately defending his last bit of riches, wielding a flintlock pistol instead of a shovel, and hiding his meager gold supply in a pot rather than celebrating its discovery. Sadly, he's only got a single sprue of gold left, and by the look of things, he'll defend it with his life. Adding to the tone of desperation is the presence of a shark ever leering at the shore, and a white flag typically indicating surrender rather than the formidable Jolly Roger. But at least he's got his trusty parrot sidekick to keep him company. The pirate himself is familiar to us from El Dorado Fortress and the pirate minifigure sets from 2 years prior, and he finally gets his solo outing here. Pirates Desert Island isn't exactly brimming with originality, but with solid ingredients like this, it's a hard one to turn down. At number 3, we have set number 6259, Broadsides Brig, also known as Governor Broadsides Prison. Originally retailing for $875, this secluded jailhouse is likely a place for particularly dangerous pirates, as its tiny island setting and incredibly cramped quarters for the prisoners suggest a particularly austere environment. And when I say cramped, I really mean cramped, as there's literally only room for the prisoner to stand upright and nothing else. Even though it's a prison, the beautiful Spanish colonial architecture style of El Dorado Fortress fame continues on here, and it's an aesthetic I just can't get enough of, with the white and yellow stonework with red brick peeking through thoroughly evoking the period and setting. In addition to the jail cell, guard towers and battlements ornament the structure, ready to defend against any pirates attempting to reclaim their own. The Imperial flag flies proudly from the battlements, warning approaching pirates that they're in for a fight. Guarding the prisoner are 2 blue-coat Imperials, 1 officer and 1 soldier, who we've already seen peppered throughout the previous pirate sets. The prisoner himself is a newcomer to us, making his debut in this set with his unique combination of red bandana, blue striped shirt, and gray pants. Strangely, even though the set is called Broadsides Brig, Governor Broadside is nowhere to be found here, suggesting that he's got better things to do with his time. The runner-up is set number 6267, Lagoon Lockup, also known as Soldier's Tavern. Selling for $29 in 1991, this set is a real beauty, portraying a slightly more leisurely setting with a tinge of tension. Personally, I think Soldier's Tavern is my preferred title, as though there is indeed a jail cell, the lion's share of the building is taken up by this cozy coastal pub where soldiers can kick back after a long day. The interior is a bit sparse, but that's nothing you can't fill in with your own pieces or just your imagination. The exterior really is a knockout, including its expected battlements, guard towers, and a conspicuous Imperial flag, but with its lattice shutters and gates giving it a more welcoming, domestic feel than the other structures we've seen. A classic Lego palm tree, always a welcome addition, stands infinitely posable on the side, adding a splash of color and atmosphere. But don't let the serene elements take you entirely off guard, as there's still plenty of threats to be wary of. The very fact that a pirate prisoner is being kept here is a standing invitation for their crew to come back for them, and in this set, they do. A small pirate sailboat, bearing the same red and white stripes of the Black Sea's Barracuda, is ready to sneak in under cover of night. The sail is cleverly mounted on a 2x2 turntable to allow it to catch the wind any way it needs. And this prisoner must be pretty important, because his rescuer is none other than the inimitable Captain Redbeard. Of course, we've seen him before, but give me an excuse to talk about my favorite minifigure of all time, and I'll take it. The crewman he's rescuing from the Imperial clutches is this rather unique, smiley-faced fellow, who we previously met in the pirate comic, and who makes his final appearance here. On the Imperial side, we're once again given a single officer, but 2 soldiers this time, tipping the balance slightly in the Bluecoats' favor. Add the manpower advantage to the full-firing cannon included in this copy, and it seems that the Bluecoats might just have this one in the bag. In my opinion, Lagoon Lockup is a pretty awesome new entry into the Pirates theme, giving us a unique setting, a built-in rescue plot, some choice minifigures, and endless play potential. What else could you want? And at number 1 is set number 6273, Rock Island Refuge, also known as Port Jamaica. Originally retailing for $66, this massive island fortress is 1991's particularly splashy entry into the Pirates' pantheon. While Forbidden Island had the look of a ramshackle, survival-based tropical shack, Rock Island Refuge appears to be a well-established base of operations, with echoes of castle sets like the Wolfpack Tower and King's Mountain Fortress. Speaking of King's Mountain Fortress, this set is actually built up on the same raised baseplate, recolored here to reflect a rocky shoreline in the Caribbean. A labyrinth of mast riggings and rope bridges make it easy to quickly navigate this stronghold, while its own guard towers and battlements, usually associated with the Imperials, put up a strong defense. My suspicion here, much like with the Forestmen and the Wolfpack of Castle fame, is that this crew of pirates took over an abandoned Imperial fortress and made it their own. This, to me at least, is evident in its many similarities to El Dorado Fortress, including the jail cell and the giant trapdoor on the bottom, either operating as a dank dungeon or a cache for their loot. Attached to the raised base plate is another 16x32 plate, upon which is a proper dock and rigging system for transporting cargo from ships, revealing a formality and sophistication that isn't normally the pirate's style, which I see as further evidence for my theory. But old Imperial fortress or not, there's no question as to who's in charge here now. as the Jolly Roger flies proudly from the structure's highest point. In addition to the fortress itself, there are also 2 watercraft included. The first is a pirate raft, with a handmade quality that once again harkens back to the Castaway's raft, even similarly rolling smoothly on its flotation barrels if you so choose. Next, we have a small Imperial sailboat, likely sailing into a situation they didn't expect, as they're woefully outnumbered here. Well, somebody's gotta go in the jail cell, might as well be them. The set includes a total of 7 minifigures, all of whom we're acquainted with the exception of 2 set-exclusive characters. The first is another pirate crewman, whose combination of blue bandana, blue striped shirt, and white pants grant him that exclusive status. Finally, we have another female pirate, who could simply be Anne wearing a red bandana this time, or an entirely new character. I tend to lean on the side of it still being Anne. But in any case, this variant is only included in this one set. Rock Island Refuge is an action movie waiting to happen, providing plenty of thrills, chills, and spills to keep any imaginative, adventure-loving kid happy. But what do you think of this sophomore outing for LEGO Pirates? Did it live up to the first wave? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you once again to the Jolly Buccaneers of the Brick Guild for their continued support of the work I do on this channel. Be sure to check out my other videos for more deep dives into the excellent themes of LEGO's past. And until next time, keep your swords drawn.